Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk. I'm Shekhar Gupta, back in front of Parliament after a very long time. And my guest this week, how do I describe him? I describe him the way everybody describes him. Michael Bloomberg, Mayor of the World.
Thank you very much.
Welcome
I don't know
to Walk
about
the
that,
Talk.
but it's nice to say so.
Welcome to Walk the Talk and welcome to Delhi.
Thank you. Happy to be here and happy to be with you.
Thank you. You've listed your 5 reasons for coming to India. Talk about them.
Well, India is one of those countries that will set the agenda for the world for my children. The world is changing. Technology is making everybody's interests accessible, empowering people in ways that never before in history. India has the scale. India has lots of problems, but so does every other country. But India has a group of very intelligent people who can take the best from elsewheres and bring it back to India, but also take the best of India and export it to the rest of the world.
Yeah, but you also talk about smart cities that India is trying to
Yes.
build, making smart cities climate friendly.
Yep.
India's youth, India's democracy.
Cities are where 70% of the people in the world will live by the year 2050. Already roughly half the people in the world live in cities. Cities are where government delivers services that you can measure. I don't know whether the federal government in any country keeps you safe. You never find out until you're attacked. I don't know whether some of the economic policies of federal governments are good or bad. You can only find out later on the results and maybe transfer it back. But I do know at a city level whether the garbage is picked up, whether that person lying on the ground who needs help gets the help. I know whether the electricity goes on when I throw the switch, or the water comes out when I turn the tap. The services that I can measure and that change my lives. Education, for example, is another one at a local level. Those kinds of things I can measure, and that's what cities deliver. Even no matter what the constitution of a country is, it's cities where the services really get distributed.
But India also has among the most dysfunctional cities in the world now, in the democratic world.
Yeah, so do other countries. We have plenty of dysfunctional cities in America too. I'd like to think New York is not one of those, but there are cities that don't work. Detroit, Michigan, for example, a very big city, enormous industrial powerhouse, and today, if you go through Detroit, there's enormous open pieces of land where the buildings have been ripped down and there's nobody there. Now, the good news is that the governor of the state of Michigan and a new mayor are trying to bring the city back, and so that may happen. I think it will. But we have our problems. You don't own all the problems in the world, even though, we're all tempted to think that.
The big challenge in our cities is, does an ambulance with the critical patient get the right of way or not?
Yes.
It doesn't always happen.
No, it doesn't happen in New York either. It's also true that we're worried, is the air you're breathing or the water you're drinking, is that good for your body? We're
Right.
always worried about whether there's crime or something. We're worried about whether somebody standing next to you is smoking and you inhale that smoke. We're worried about whether the food is quality, whether or not somebody's making sure that there's no diseases
You
in it.
really went after smoking and food and calories.
Yes, and life expectancy in New York City
Has gone up.
is 3 years greater than it was 12 years ago,
Right.
and it's 3 years greater than the national average. And most big cities, conventional wisdom is it would be lower. In our case, it's bigger.
It's crossed 80 years, I notice now, 80.2. So how did you do that? How did you improve life expectancy in the city of New
A
York?
lot of small things. We would say there's no magic bullet.
Right.
It is reducing smoking. It is reducing traffic deaths with better laws and helmets, and going after people who don't use seatbelts or drink and
That's
drive.
one of your 5 reasons for coming to India.
Absolutely. We're doing my foundation's doing a lot here on smoking and traffic deaths. It is trying to convince people that certain foods just will make them obese, and obesity kills you. It is going after fire deaths and making sure that people have smoke detectors in their houses or apartments so that they get notice earlier and can get out in the case of a fire. All of these things add up to making longer and healthier lives for the people. It's not a cure-all for everything. We'll never get there.
And you got restaurants to start listing calories. of dishes on their
calories,
menus.
but also we in New York City
You banned
we
trans fats.
we ban trans fats, but more importantly, we grade every restaurant, and in the window of the restaurant you have to have a sign, an A, B, C, or we're closing you. And people don't go to B and C restaurants, so the restaurants have to clean up. And you say these things don't matter. The number of cases of salmonella at the city hospitals way down, almost overnight, because the restaurants don't want to lose their A rating because they'll lose their business. In the end, we do most things not for altruistic reasons.
Right.
We do most things for selfish reasons. It's good for my business, it's good for my or my children's health. That's the things that drive most of
You
it.
say A, B, C, or you shut them down.
Yes.
And you do shut them down.
Yes. Yes.
So,
and what they do is they clean up to reopen, but some don't never reopen.
So when you give this powers to some inspectors,
Yep.
obviously somebody in the government, in the mayor's
There's
office,
always
will
a
do it.
chance for a mistake. There's always a chance for corruption. But we have a process where you can appeal, and we send a different inspector. And when you hear people complaining, the more they complain, the more you know it's working.
Uh-huh.
I mean, my favorite little diner around the corner from where I live got closed down for a month. Now, I love the food, but the bottom line is they had rats in the basement and mice and cockroaches, and they cleaned it up and they're open
It
again.
doesn't help to say the mayor's my customer and he's alive.
It didn't keep them open. They got closed down.
Right. And what kind of resistance did you get when you went after trans fats, which are used to make the tastiest foods? Most Indian sweet shops will shut down.
That's not true. That we found substitutes. Nobody lost. In fact, public health issues are popular. I know that the beginning people scream, but it's not people. It's the press that is trying to make a story so that they can get advertisements, and that's what this is all about. And you will find one person who's against the smoking ban, and you'll have that person on your walk show. But most people don't smoke, and virtually nobody wants to stand next to a smoker and breathe their air and die. And that you don't report because doesn't sell advertisements.
Unlikely, I will have someone like that on Walk the Talk.
I'm sure you won't.
'Cause
You would never do this.
I was brought up in a household full of smoke, and I know what it means. But it's not, and I know one thing common among all you politicians around the world is that media is to blame for.
No, I don't
What
think
problem?
that's totally true. But look, I own a big media organization. I've got
absolutely.
2,300
Absolutely.
journalists. There is no question that the public buys scandal and failure. The Germans have a word for it, where you revel in other people's failure.
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. And unfortunately, that's just the way human beings are.
Well, not only
But let me tell you, today, while everybody complained when I passed the ban on smoking in public restaurants, and a lot of people made nasty gestures. I joke, in a parade past the restaurant, I got a lot of one-finger waves. Today, none of those restaurants would go back, and those restaurants are doing better than they ever did before. And I kept saying, people go to restaurants to eat and drink and smoke, except the restaurateur only makes money off the eating and drinking.
Right.
And for all the time they spend smoking, they're not eating and drinking.
Right.
In the end, it was good for the restaurants, and it was certainly good for the public health.
Right. You not only run a big media organization, but one of the very few, a rare media organization which is doing well and is cash rich.
We're doing okay.
Yeah. In fact, we all keep noticing rumors of Bloomberg buying FT, Bloomberg buying.
We're not
something
buying
else.
the FT. We're not buying anything. We're trying to put food on the table every day.
That's a good idea. Back to cities. So what are you telling people you're meeting in India? This city has
Well,
20 million people. This just elected a new government last week in a revolutionary election. A new party of young people
Yep.
has defeated established parties.
Yep. I'm not here to tell you how to run your city. I had trouble enough running my city, and I'm no longer running my city.
But
But-
you ran it with distinction.
but-
Because you took your city,
I
and
ran
it was a wreck after 9/11.
Yes, but I think even those people that didn't agree with me or didn't like it, they respected the fact that we said, this is what we're trying to do, this is why we're trying to do it, and if it doesn't work after X number of days, weeks, months, years, we'll roll it back. And people respect that kind of honesty. I don't think you're right, but at least I know you're trying. At least I know you're doing it for the right reason. And I think that governments that get where people believe that they're honest and trying are governments that succeed, even if the public's not in favor of the policies. And in fact, it works the other direction. If the public, if the government is always catering to everything you want, then you got to believe they're doing it for political reasons, not because they think it's right. And I don't care how smart you are. You don't have all the answers, and I don't have all the answers. So what I'm here to do is to try to learn what you do that it'd be useful back in my country and in my city, and to explain what we have done and what other cities around the world have done, because I'm involved in this organization called the C40, of which Delhi and Mumbai are two of the 75 cities in it, where we share best practices. And I've talked to a number of your ministers. Energy is one of the big things. The question is, do you focus on coal? Do you focus on renewable energy, wind and solar? And I've tried to explain, I don't think that you can finance coal development because people are walking away from that all around the world. Coal is a very dangerous thing. It pollutes, and when people say, well, I have to have the economic development...
It leaves a scar in the ground.
It leaves a scar in people's lungs, too. In America, 13,000 people die every year from the effects of coal-fired power plants. In India, the number is enormously bigger. You look at the pollution problems that you and other big cities have.
This city has the worst air quality in the world right now.
Okay, well,
the only area where we've beaten China, Beijing, in fact.
You've got to do something about it. And I'm going to see your Prime Minister this afternoon. I am a believer that this argument that I have to have economic development, even if it hurts the environment, and then I'll get to the environmental stuff, not only does it not make any sense that you're never going to do it, you cannot improve your economy unless you improve your environment. It is just not sustainable. They have it in the wrong order.